Well, hello, indie conversation. Yeah. So I was definitely crunching during Accelerate. There's a certain, I don't know. Accelerate always kind of compelled me to crunch a little bit because I was challenging myself to work on such short timescales. I only gave myself January and February for development and March for marketing, so there's only 3 months there. Um, And like that's how it's always been, even since the original. It was basically made in Ludum Dare. I got done a lot more than I thought I would. But so my point is, yeah, I was definitely crunching, and there's a little bit of burnout that would come from that. I think that was what I experienced through part of April. Um, it really just leads back to that expectation, and like Ida was saying, yeah, don't go in with expectations. It's something I learned early on too. Yeah, it's okay to hope, but it's not good to expect. But I don't think I've tied my meaning to the game. Like, I don't feel like, oh, the game didn't do good, so that means I'm a failure. I don't feel that way at all. I feel detached from it. I feel I've done as much as I can to learn what what I can do better in the next games. Like my next game is not going to be a very difficult game. Accelerate was extremely difficult. I wanted it to be more casual, but the time restrictions that I gave myself and a couple other things about the game really just kind of let itself be a very difficult game. And so I leaned into that. I allowed the game to choose where it wanted to be, and that's just kind of where the franchise went. And I think it was kind of one of the missteps along the way. But basically, in the post mortem, I in reflecting on that, I was deciding that the next game that I make is not going to be difficult. Like I'm not aiming for a difficult game. I want my dad to be able to play and beat the game. For instance, he's not a gamer, right? I'd like him to be able to get through the game in some manner. Maybe he'll have a little bit of a difficult time in certain areas, but I don't want it to be a game that the premise is a difficulty challenge, right? It's going to be kind of opt-in difficulty, I guess is where I'm going to go with that. Um, so Ida was saying that on his current game, or as it's wrapping up, that you already knew what was you were working on next, right? You kind of had that progression of what you were going to do next. And when I was ending Accelerate, I had two ideas that I was going to do next. Not ideas as in um, like here's a concept, but like actual ideas that were already started. One of them is a game sitting in my back pocket still. I've got a couple months left of development on that, and then I get to do some marketing for it. However, I'm really not feeling like right now is the time for that because it's basically Accelerate with a different. It's differently themed, but it doesn't change the gameplay. And I don't want to release like the same game over and over again. I'd like to kind of separate those two a little bit. So I had um, through January and February, I was doing a project called the Sunday Shift on my stream where I was basically creating a game from scratch that was one of my Ludum Dare games also. My Ludum Dare games tend to go for difficulty, and I don't know why. It might be a balance issue, and it just might be when I'm in a crunched time period of like 48 hours, I get more gameplay out of the difficult challenges. Because if you have to retry the challenge over and over again, right? Like if you're trying a few times to do something, that adds the gameplay, and that's kind of where the gameplay in Accelerate and this other game would have gone. But anyway, but with my learnings from the post-mortem Accelerate, that game also got not put as the next thing. So like I had ideas of where I was gonna go, and then basically they both got sideswiped. um, I also have plenty of other ideas. Like I actually think one of my problems right now is having too many ideas. I don't know which one to focus on. And there's ones that pull me harder, but they're not very good business decisions, I don't think. And maybe I just need to relax on what is and isn't a good business decision. That might be part of what's going on. I'm not a very good business person in the first place. Like I've been trying for the last 5 years to improve, and I think I do a lot of things well. I track my time, and I'm trying to figure out which projects are more profitable and, or at least losing the least amount of money. Um, I'm trying to learn and do everything I can, but I'm definitely a programmer at heart. Programming is where I'm happy. I really want to have art skills. Like, I'd really like to be able to hit programming and art. That would be my dream. So I keep practicing my art. It's not anywhere where I want it to be yet. Um, and programming I can do basically in my sleep. Like programming down, good. I've got that and it's fun, but business is challenging. And of course, my objective as a business is to make money, mostly so that I can keep making my own games. I don't care about making $1 million. I don't even care about making $100,000 a year. I care about making enough money that I can keep making my own games and have a comfortable living in the future. Um, and I have a runway for that, right? Like, this video is going to be a little longer than I intended, but hey, who cares? It's a conversation. I have a runway for that. And Ada was pointing out that after one of the projects, he went and got a job. I did guess he did some work for a friend for a bit, whether paid or not. That I don't think that was the point there, but like just to get in the groove, and then also got an office job so that you got more socializing. And I'll be honest, I have actually contemplated a little bit. Do I go looking for a job? Not because I need one. Actually, that's where I stop whole this whole thought. I have enough runway that I'm secure for at least 2 or 3 more years, possibly 3 or 4. But you know, this inflation thing's really starting to kick my butt. Regardless, I am fairly secure for the next 2 or 3 years without a job, and I'm not worried about going to find another job. Like you said, I have the programming skills. I can make money doing that if I deemed I wanted. Um, but yeah, that thought has popped up in my head. Like, what about going to just get a job for a while? And that thought, it's like interesting, but then I'm like, why? Why would I do that when I have my resources to keep doing what I want? I want to make my own games. I have at least 5 game ideas right now. Um, I yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little blabbing. But there's at least 5 game ideas that I'd like to work on. Some of them are just a little bit bigger scoped than I want. So my dream project is the racing simulator, which is a very, very in-depth simulator of car mechanics and how they interact with a racetrack. Like if you're thinking of Gran Turismo, I'm pushing the simulator bar higher than that. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that gray area. Anyway, um, that's my dream project. That's a lot of math and simulation. 6 months ago, I decided not to do that. I decided not to pursue that project because it's going to take me 3 to 4 years to get to the MVP where I can actually bring it to the audience and be like, does anybody like this? And hopefully start building it up. And that's basically burning my entire runway on one project. Like, if I don't have the audience at the end of that, I'm out of luck. I also feel like that particular project is going to dissolve some of the things that I'm actually doing really well with my business, which is streaming, um, and that it's not going to be as visual. It's not going to be as interesting for new people to come in because it's going to be like the same math every day, basically. Maybe some other people would be really interested in it. I don't know. That's These are the reasons why I chose not to do it. I chose to do smaller games because I could probably get 6 games done in those 3 years. Was kind of my thought. Um, Aiming for about 6 months per game. Really, I was aiming for 3 to 4 months per game, but as things go, those 3 to 4 months will become 6. Kind of like Accelerate. Accelerate was 3 months, but we're going on 6 now, and I haven't started the second project, right? Um, Regardless, so I chose to go with the smaller games, and some of these game ideas that I have right now are looking more like 9 to 12 months. They're definitely smaller than the simulator, but they're bigger than what I'm trying to set out for my smaller games. Um, Another one is actually probable to do in my 6 month time scale, but it's also a lot more risky for the audience because it's kind of like too new. If you understand what I mean there, it's taking an idea that's just not really done before, and I'm I kind of like to explore it, but at the same time, there's a bunch of risk there. With That's a lot of testing. It's a lot of unknown. It's not like there's a proven UI to use. It's not like there's a proven flow. I'm gonna have to teach a new player how this works, and it's also art heavy. Let's go with that. It's also art heavy, and that's one of my weaknesses. Strength programming, weaknesses. I'm not great at art. I'm not doing bad. I'm not horrible, but it's definitely not a strength. It's at best mediocre. Um, in some way, that type of game would at least push me to continue. This is definitely going a little longer than I want. I'm sorry. I wanted to reply to Seth real quick about the no clip thing you shared, and the teenager posting something on Twitter and it exploding. Um, if anyone didn't watch that, it was, I think, choo 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 something. It was a train game where the train is being attacked in kind of like a horror thing. Anyway, I think that's a really good idea, and I've kind of been trying to think what the minimum bits that I need to prove out one of my ideas would be for that. Um, I tried that a little bit with the Sunday Shift, and uh, with a couple of the clips that I was taking, I was trying to see if this was going to create any viral explosion. It didn't. Actually, I didn't actually create as much stuff as I wanted to for that project, mostly because I was overloaded with Accelerate at that particular time. But that is one of the things that I'm trying to do with my next approach is create a couple random art styles and like little scenes of the game and see if anything actually resonates. My problem with this, and perhaps this is naive, I don't know. I could be very naive here, but my problem with this is I feel like these things work and go viral not necessarily because they're grand ideas. Um, the Choo Choo game obviously did pretty well, so obviously it was a good idea. But I think it goes well when it either resonates with somebody with a big audience or you already have a big audience and it just kind of explodes. Um, I don't know. I also have some comments on Reddit and trying to post your game. Like actually just trying to post your game in general with the whole self-promotion stuff. I feel like if you've got a good game, and by good game, what I mean is a well-known game, then people are accepting of self-promotion. But if you don't have a well-known game, I switched it to from good game. Um, then your post gets removed. That's that's at least my feeling on this. Like if your game has been known, self-promoting is fine, and if your game is not known, it's not. And that's probably biased. I'm probably looking at this from a bad lens, but anyway, I have definitely been babbling way longer than I should. This is supposed to be 3 to 5 minutes tops. I think 3 minutes tops. Anyway, enjoy turtles or Indian conversation.